YouTube. So again, my name is Gary Buechler. I'm live in San Francisco. This is the Nerdrotic Podcast, and I am going to do a quick review of Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Again, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I got to this show late, kind of like I did with Doctor Who and Buffy. I got into Buffy like in season 6. I got into Doctor Who about season 5. And I jumped into Harry Potter right after the release of The Half-Blood Prince. So pretty late on that one. But when I dive in and get into something, I absolutely love it and get obsessed with it. And at the time, I owned the Comic Outpost, but I was also doing some side work for Technicolor, doing some compression and pre-mastering for them. So I'd be working in LA, so I'd have to drive back and forth to LA every weekend because I hate to fly. So in the years 2010 and 11, I was driving home back and forth from LA to San Francisco every weekend. I think I only flew twice within almost 2 years. So that's a lot of driving. That's why my Element, at the time, my Honda Element has, 270,000 miles on it. And I would listen to Harry Potter, the Jim Dale Harry Potter audiobooks, which are just magnificent, and yeah, it starts out as a kid's book, and I didn't really listen or read or reread the first 2 books a lot. I have read them, but I didn't go back and reread them. What I did reread a lot was books 4 and up, which are just fantastic. And the greatest thing about Harry Potter is it's the millennials' Star Wars. And in a lot of ways, it's better than Star Wars because it is a story that grew up with them. A friend of mine, John Reed, my co-host on this podcast, is the one who talked me into it. We were driving down to Comic-Con. We had a lot of time, and we knew we weren't going to chat the whole time. So he's like, let's go get an audiobook. So I plunked down $75 and got The Goblet of Fire and was hooked within 3 chapters. And John started telling me all the backstory. And it was the backstory, and that's what makes Harry Potter, is the backstory, is what's going on and what happened before. And so much is left to the imagination. And, that's what made Star Wars great, was the backstory, was just the little bits we heard about Vader, and then our heads would fill in the rest. Unfortunately, George Lucas went out, and now Disney's going out and ruining that, in a lot of ways, but I won't get into that. But it was funny that JK Rowling herself was asked about the prequels, and she said, which, she's an amazingly smart woman, and I admire her a lot. And she said, all prequels are inherently tragedies. And then she goes off and does a prequel. And, this isn't as loosely connected to the Potterverse as you might think. There is a huge spoiler, which I am not going to spoil because it was such a pleasant surprise. I did not see it coming. And when I saw it, we were just like, no way, that was awesome. I hope they go further with that, but there's a problem. This movie was flat. It was written by JK Rowling. This is her first shot at writing the movie. I think it was just script and story by her. I don't know how many notes were in it. Probably not many. And what we love about JK Rowling is her layers and, past stories and knowing everything about everybody, and getting into their head and their feelings, and the way she wrote kids was particularly amazing. It got a bunch of Americans and the English kids, and we come over to America in this one, which was very cool. And in one of my favorite time periods is in the 20s. And I should get my IMDb going here. And it's very promising, because the one thing we did not get in Harry Potter a lot, when we did get it, it was cool, was adult magic. We didn't get to see a lot of full-blown magic. And I was kind of thinking, well, this is going to be rad. We're going to get a lot of that. And there was a segment that's absolutely beautiful in the movie where we get like what a full-blown adult can do. And then, with this is, okay, I am going to spoil some stuff. So if you want to plug your ears, but I'm not going to give away big plot points. But this was very Doctor Who, right down to his briefcase, which they've shown in the trailers, is essentially his TARDIS. And it is big, and it is amazing. And there was some beautiful things in it. And in a lot of ways, it's a beautiful story. But I'm not going to bury the lead on this one. I would prefer to read the book about this. I wish she would go out like right now and write a full-fledged Harry Potter-sized book on this story, because there's so much more I want to know. And we got a lot of, I was told there would be a ton of action in this one, and there wasn't. There was, the cast was solid, but who stole the show was the Muggle, or the Nomage, as we call them in America. And Dan Fogler played the Muggle, and I met him at Comic-Con with Derek Robertson. He's also a comic writer. He's a comedian. The guy's very freaking talented. And this is the first movie he's been in where he absolutely stole the show. And it has nothing to do with me knowing he's a friend of a friend. It has nothing to do with it. My wife agreed with me. I'm sure my kids will agree with me when I ask them. We'll find out. They usually agree with me, at least to my face. And he stole the show. He was amazing. He was the one character you really felt something for, and his story was the deepest. And but that's not the way it's supposed to be. Besides Newt's absolute look as he's basically Matt Smith, Doctor Who. We have two other characters who are magic sisters. And we have a religious zealot who adopts kids to try to turn them into some kind of cult against witches. We have Azra, the guy playing Flash. What's his name? His name is Ezra Miller is in it, who was good. He was good in it. I'm going to hate him as the Flash. I can tell you that right now. I'm not going to like him as the Flash. But he was good. There was some Tim Burton elements in this too. And there's Colin Farrell as our, I guess what turns out to be our bad guy. But where this story gets lost is it's trying to find a way to, it looks like it's trying to set up a whole new franchise around one of the side books that JK Rowling had put out for, I believe it was Children in Need, called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And it's a cool little book about just all the magical creatures. I love it, actually. And they get trapped between, there's three stories going on, and they don't intersect very well at all. But on their own, they're really good. I know that doesn't make sense, but Newt's whole thing is he's basically, what he's writing? He's writing the meaning of, or what was, gosh dang it. Oh my God, I'm sorry, guys. Douglas Adams went out and wrote a book with a zoologist, I believe, and I'm blanking on the name right now. So I'm going to find it, and I'm going to edit this in the podcast. And that's basically what he is. He's Douglas Adams. Last Chance to See. Gosh dang it. How could I forget that? Douglas Adams' Last Chance to See. So that's what Newt is actually going out and writing. He's trying to save the animals and get some, breeding them, taking them back to their homeland, taking them back to the wild. He's got a Thunderbird, which is very cool, and a Niffler. There's a Bowtruckle that's very cool. And, that story by itself is cool, but that's not going to carry a franchise. And interwoven in all that, we have the American Sisters, one who's trying to be an investigator with the Congress of Magic, I believe it was called. I'm going to screw that one up. And we find out that there's differences in the magic world between America and England. Like in America, it's a little backwards. Like Americans aren't allowed to interact or marry any of the Muggles or nomages as they're called. I'm going to call them Muggles. I don't like the nomage thing. It sounds like nomad. And of course, we have one of the sisters, who I'm blanking on her name now, fall for Fogler. And that's actually, those two are the best things in it. And Eddie, how do you say his name? Redmayne? Eddie Redmayne is like a great actor. He is a wonderful actor. And I loved him as Newt, but he was a mute Newt. he was very quiet, and I'm going to blame this all the problems on this movie, not on the writing. The writing was there. It was the directing. They chose David Yates again, who directed all the Harry Potter movies from number 5 on. And while he did a solid job, I particularly didn't like his Half-Blood Prince, and because he's very mute, he's very quiet. His people talk quiet. There's not a lot of music, and I'm not a fan of too much music, but I really do like music. Does help certain scenes, and there's some comedic scenes in it that really could have used something. They felt too quiet and muted. Newt's character mumbles a lot, and maybe it's because they're in the editing room and they've got their headphones on, but I went and saw it at the Senate Arts Empire at West Portal. I like to support little local theaters, especially that one. But the sound in there is kind of shitty, so I'm not going to blame them completely, but I had a hard time hearing this stuff and hearing the dialogue. But the biggest problem with the film is I believe it's kind of too short. It needed, for an introduction into a world that we've seen, but facets of it we haven't seen, and we want to see so much more. They could have done a 2-hour, 45-minute movie. This 1 hour came in at 2 hours and 17 minutes, and it felt kind of short, and it felt rushed. Kind of almost the same way I felt about Doctor Strange. Now, did I like it? Yes, I like the movie. I see great potential. I hope it does really well because I want to see the next 2 or 3 because it deals with like I said, it connects to the Harry Potter universe in a huge way. We know that there's a lot of backstories, but the 2 main ones that we all want to see are the Marauders, which I don't know if we'll ever see, and we also want to see young Albus Dumbledore and his relationship with Grindelwald and kind of what went down with that, because that is a tragedy. And if anything, I'd love to see on film, even though in my head it's so much better, the final duel between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. And I think the extra layer that makes this so great is they were in love with each other. So they, that always just makes it, just that little twist. And I think that is a story I want to see. I would rather read it, to be honest with you. Like I said before, this would make a great book. I mean, if she went out, and even though we've seen the movie, and it just felt like small parts of a much bigger story. The reason Newt went there, and he just basically went there. I mean, America. He went to America to he was giving some story, but he went to release an animal to its homeland. But it felt like too random and happenstance. And he runs into the bureaucracy of our Congress. They bust him. You got to have, because of the different rules. He doesn't do a lot of research coming to America. Why do they put this in alphabetical order? This is terrible. Because I don't want to disrespect the actresses or actors, but like the way they're putting this on IMDb, it's not it's an order. That's crazy. Okay, so we have, like I said, we had 3 stories here. We had the religious zealot story. We had the that was intertwined very loosely with John Voight's character, who it totally looked like he was supposed to be in it more, and he was in it like 2 minutes. Who is a big newspaper publisher and has 2 sons, and one of the sons is running for city council or Congress. And they were trying to set up a plot of there being like an anti-witch cult. Without spoiling anything, that looked like they totally failed on future films setting up what could be like a ministry of anti-magic or a Congress of anti-magic set up by this publisher. There is something that happens that wakes him up to the magical world and makes him hate it, but they don't follow through on that at all. Then there's the going out and getting animals part of it, which is funny and interesting, but I think even though it's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, it's not the most interesting part of the story. The most interesting part of the story is revolving around, and I'm forgetting what the magic was now. God dang it. Oh, it sucks being old. But these kids who are repressing magic and what happens to them when they repress magic. And I won't go into it, but it's very important to the story, and it's really an interesting thing. And it's super tragic. That's kind of your main point. And there's one that's particularly strong. I don't know how far I should go into spoilers. I don't want to really spoil it on opening night. Yeah. I'll have to go into it a little bit. So what I feel the main story is Colin Farrell is like the head of security for the Congress, and he is after a particular child that he saw in a vision. They don't show this vision. They only talk about it in passing. They should have shown it. And it's about a kid repressing magic. And when they repress magic, their magic turns into, God dang it, somebody save me here. I forgot what it's called. But when they repress magic, it turns into something living. It's like a parasitic piece of magic, but it's a living thing. And Newt actually has one, and he's studying it. But these things can be really dangerous when their host is still alive. That's key. Really dangerous. Like it can take out even, I don't know, the most powerful magician at the time. Therein lies a problem with the story, is it doesn't know what it wants to focus on. Does it want to focus on Newt chasing the animals, or this parasitic, God damn it, what was it called? This parasitic piece of magic that's super dangerous, and it could disrupt the modules. And we also have, there's another plot of the Congress trying to, constantly stop Newt and other people for, exposing them to the real world. They're deathly afraid of humans for good reason. There's one scene that's super creepy. What Harry Potter did very well with the Ministry of Magic is made them bureaucratic and not make them the good guys, nor made them the bad guys. It just made them this big bureaucracy that can be really bad if it's taken over by bad people. The same thing with the American Congress, and their ways are pretty hideous. Their execution, by the way, is how they execute magicians who expose. It's punishable by death to expose a magician to humanity. So they have an execution chamber where they take it's a giant pensive. It's a giant killer pensive where they take your memories out, they throw it in this liquidy substance, and they show you your life, and you just get sucked into it. You're like, oh, it's beautiful, and it shows you all your happy memories. And the person talks you into going into this chair that's floating over this liquid stuff. And while you're sitting in the chair, the liquid slowly just brings you down and kills you. And the person who's killing you, it looks like this nice lady. She's like, oh, it's pretty. Just go in there. It'll be comfortable. It's totally painless. That was pretty horrific. And it seemed really disjointed. But, yeah, what I really felt out of this movie is it got edited down. I think it was longer. It felt like there should have been more stuff in there. There should have been more explanation, and maybe we'll get it on the digital copy and the Blu-ray. I look forward to a longer version. I really do. At least the Family Channel, or ABC Family, always shows the longer versions of Harry Potter, which are much better. Hopefully we'll get that soon. The characters who stand out best, like I said before, Dan Fogler as the Muggle was the best thing in it by far, and I loved his character, and he's what made the movie really good. Now, the bad in it was having John Voight and having this character that you're just not going to use. Too many unnecessary, crazy animal scenes. Too much of the duck-billed platypus, and when you see it, you'll understand what I mean. But overall, pretty good movie. I think the Rotten Tomatoes rating, which is 77%, I think that's spot on. It's a good start. I hope it makes a lot of money. I definitely want to see more. But I was a little bummed. I was thinking this one was going to be really good. I think, hey, JK Rowling can do whatever the hell she wants. and I think you should let her write the next one because this is her world, and I think she is. I think there is going to be more, and I want more from her. She is a great fantasy writer. I tried to read her other books, and bless her for writing them, but they were a little just dark, and I don't know, and just dark and jaded. I want to see her go. She's got everything she wants. She's a billionaire. She's doesn't want for anything. Hopefully, she finds that artistic drive. I don't know if you could find that as a billionaire. I really don't. To go out and write some more fantasy books, because that's what we'd all love to see. Now, if she's burned out on it, I understand, but it's almost like George R. R. Martin. Now this is only if he finishes the books. Saving your best story for last is really kind of cool. That's really awesome. I'm sure he would disagree, and he would have loved his billions of dollars, and I'm sure it's billions at this point, right? I'm sure he would love them when he was younger, but as fans, we are toasted now. Again, toasted. We will be burned if he doesn't finish. JK Rowling, to her credit, was on time with her books, wrote those damn things in 2 years. They were freaking brilliant, and I reread them to this day. But damn, JK, please write a book on the series, or write a Marauders book, or something, or go in the future. Stay in this world. It doesn't need Harry Potter. I agree. Harry Potter's story is told. I don't need Harry Potter. I bring in new characters, but the world is awesome. It is a world that I want to revisit, and I think it's really cool. So I think it was a good start, and we know WB is going to back this because this is a cash cow for them. And it's a good backup because their superhero movies are kind of blowing right now. But we can talk real quick about WB being a damn mess right now. There's a power struggle. Les Moonves almost took charge, and I wish he would, because I think they would do much better if he did. But yeah, I don't know. They built a giant studio just for Harry Potter out there, so I think they will go back. I think they will continue these, and I think they will get longer, and I think they will get better. I just hope. I don't know if there's a book adaptation for this. I used to read those as a kid all the time because they used to come out with them early, and that was your original spoilers. For all those people who hate spoilers out there, they got to remember, like, Star Wars book came out a year before the damn movie did. So, I mean, it's all out there if you just want to read the book. I'm running low on battery on Periscope. So I'm going to do some business here before I go, but definitely like the movie. Will I see it again? Nah, I'll see it at home. I will buy the Blu-ray if there's extended, features, if there's an extended, if there's new material on it. But yeah, that's it. So, I've got a few podcasts to post. I know John and Dennis did a CW roundup recently that I'm going to put up, and I need to catch up on Dirk Gently and get one out there. I need to talk a little bit more about Doctor Who. And I could have gone on about how Doctor Who this movie is. It's JK Rowling should write a Doctor Who, because she kind of did almost. Just real quick, the cast was great. I look forward to seeing them. There is a big surprise. If you Potter fans are going to love the big surprise. There's an amazing surprise that I absolutely loved. And the problem is when you see a movie in West Portal, kind of a stuck up area of San Francisco. Sorry, it just is. It's right next to St. Francis Wood. There's a lot of multi-million-dollar homes surrounding that area. So to show something like enjoyment or applause is just way beyond the Illuminati to applaud for a movie. But they didn't. It was like really quiet and awkward. And my family was in there, and we're freaking chomping on candy and opening packages. And I'm like, Melissa and I like talk through movies. That's why a lot of people probably don't like to go with movies with us anymore. We're like, what? So yeah. Back to business. All of our podcasts can be found at nerdrotic.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. I actually have 3 feeds going to iTunes. Just search Nerdrotic. One of them will pop up. Please subscribe. We're also now on Google Play. Search Nerdrotic. You can also, our YouTube channel is It's our old podcast name, but it's youtube.com/user/Sutra Watchtower, or just go into YouTube and search the Nerdrotic channel. And please like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Nerdrotic Podcast. I know we keep saying this, but next podcast, we have our unnamed loot crate-ish prizes that we're going to start giving away. And what we do is you got to answer a question and email us. And the question will come at some point during the podcast, which you can watch or listen to on your own time. Big changes coming to the website. We're going to make it a little easier. We're going to simplify the feeds. As you can see, we have been pumping out more content. That is thanks to John Reed, who I want to wish get better. My buddy, my good friend, one of my best friends in the world. Actually, Dennis and John are pretty much my best friends, or my only friends. No, just kidding. And John is sick right now, so we want to wish him get better, buddy. I hope you're feeling much better. There was a little bit of a scare. He's probably going to be pissed that I'm saying this, but I just hope you're okay, pal. I'm thinking about you every second. And he was supposed to join me tonight, but he couldn't, unfortunately. But he is on the mend. I will say that. Okay, so I will be back in the next couple of days with the Dirk Gently and Doctor Who podcast. Then Melissa and I will be back for the wonderful Westworld podcast that's kind of blowing up. We're kind of happy with what we're getting on subscriptions on iTunes, and I got a couple views on Facebook and stuff, so very happy. Yeah, things are happening. We're pushing out a lot more content, and that is thanks to John Reed. And Dennis, I want to thank Dennis for all the content he puts up on the Facebook page. Dennis and I have full-time jobs, and we love this stuff. I'm starting to do podcast stuff at lunch at work, so maybe I need to ease up a little bit, but it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. And John Reed's on this stuff all day, so it's amazing. So thank you all for watching and listening. Please visit nerdrotic.com. Hope you all are well, and definitely go see the movie. Enjoy it. The visuals are great. 3D, that's how I always feel about 3D. But I must say that my old Harry Potter from Deathly Hallows, when they gave these out, Deathly Hallows, these glasses worked. I was very happy with them. I actually got to get me a pair of these. These are pretty cool, right? No? Maybe? No? Okay. All right, guys and ladies. Thank you for watching. I'm going to stop on you.